morning. You're watching Business World Live. I'm Danie Laurel, throwing you quickly over to the board's floor as solar-powered Nueva Ecija Corp lists today.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Congratulations to Solar Philippines Nueva Ecija Corporation on its initial public offering. Thank you to our on-site and virtual guests for joining us this listing ceremony. Happy Friday, and may you all have a great weekend.
There you have it, guys. Recall that this is their plan. They plan to build Southeast Asia's biggest solar farm. And let's take the first look into this stock, which was listed at 1 peso, going down now to 95 centavos. You can see that on my terminal here, a very quick plunge, let's say by 3 centavos. And we will be, of course, monitoring that. Now, Solar Philippines' IPO was actually 2 times oversubscribed. They already had 5.3 billion pesos in orders. That's according to Abacus Capital, which is their underwriter. However, this seems to have been expected. Analysts have said over and over that they may face headwinds today after this IPO price at 1 peso. Of course, this does follow the debut listing of Medilines just 10 days ago, which tumbled by up to 30% on its debut. We've also got All Day Marts, another IPO recently, trading below its 60 centavo IPO price. Keepers, Synergy, all at discounts from their follow-on offer. So they're really not alone here in terms of the plunge. But according to AP Securities' Carlos Temporal, the stock has significant potential upside, might be performing better than Medilines, but of course, investors would take caution. IPOs are not as strong as before. And this happens as the Philippine Stock Exchange is now planning to require all the companies going public to have a stability fund if they do want to offer the secondary shares. This is according to BSE President and CEO Ramon Monzon. He says they're looking into requiring firms to have a stability fund worth 10 to 15% of the IPO price or follow-on offer. This happening, of course, on the back of Medilines' plunge. Right now, there are no requirements for the stabilization funds for any IPOs. Again, SPNEC now actually breaching the 1 peso mark, swinging between gains and losses today. Now, let's move on to our top story this Friday morning. As widely expected, the Bangko Sentral kept policy rates unchanged at record lows to support the economic recovery that's amid the threat of the Omicron variant. Now, the Monetary Board decided to maintain the policy rate or the overnight reverse repurchase rate at 2%, as predicted by all 15 economists in a Businessworld poll. The overnight deposit was kept at 1.5%, while the lending rate was unchanged at 2.5%. Bangko Sentral Governor Ben Diokno said the emergence of the new COVID-19 variant plus the potential tightening of global financial conditions pose downside risks to economic recovery. Thus, keeping an accommodative policy at this point shall help sustain the economy's momentum over the next few years, Diokno said. The country has reported this week its first 2 Omicron variant cases, which the WHO says is spreading faster than any previous variants. Nonetheless, the Monetary Board has observed that economic growth now appears to be on firmer ground on the back of an accelerated vaccination drive and calibrated easing of protocols, according to the governor. Meanwhile, the BSP raised its inflation outlook to 4.4% this year. That's from an earlier projection of 4.3%. The BSP said the continuing constraints on the supply of key food items and calls for fare hikes are the upsides to inflation. Now, young people and women in the Philippines bore the brunt of job cuts during the height of the pandemic last year. That's according to a study by the Asian Development Bank. The report found that young people in Indonesia, Thailand, and the Philippines accounted for as much as 28% of total job losses in the second quarter of 2020. That is despite representing only 15% of the working population in the region. Now, in the education sector, young Filipinos made up half of the job losses in the Philippines during that period. They also made up a third of job cuts in the accommodation and food services sector. Women also recorded a greater share in job losses than their share in total employment figures. The ADB said Southeast Asian countries should develop comprehensive social protection systems, building on efforts to temporarily fill the gaps during the pandemic. Opening the markets today, together with us, we have Japhet Tantiangco of Philstocks. Good morning, Japhet, and welcome back.
Good morning, Ma'am Dani. Thank you very much for having me.
Japhet, let's open the bourse with you today. 7206.78. That's down by 0.4%. This after we quite enjoyed a rally yesterday. But let's kick off with that. What's going on here? What's the general sentiment as we end this trading week? It's been a roller coaster ride. You've had the Omicron entering the Philippines, that slide, but then also that quick recovery.
Okay, well, with respect to the market, the general sentiment right now is it's all about being cautious. So investors are playing cautiously right now, and this is because of the entry of the Omicron variant into the country. Investors would like to see first. Of course, there's still the sentiment. I mean, there's still the optimism. There's still the optimism with respect to the economy, with respect to our economic recovery, and this is because our current COVID-19 situation is improving. I mean, cases are still declining. Cases are daily cases so far is not, new cases has not been going beyond 500. So this is something positive for investors. At the same time, our vaccination rate is also improving. So we see day by day a lot more people getting vaccinated, which of course is one of our safeguards against the COVID-19 pandemic. So given the improving COVID-19 situation, there is improving prospects for our local economy, and that is so far driving the optimism. But as mentioned a while ago, on the downside, you now have the Omicron variant, and this is tempering the said optimism a while ago. So investors would want to see how will this develop further. At the same time, of course, this past week, investors were also concerned with the Federal Reserve. They were concerned of how the Federal Reserve stance going to be, given that inflation rate is seemingly persistent in the United States.
Mm.
So they would like to see how the Federal Reserve is going to tackle this. And as everybody was expecting, the Federal Reserve mentioned that they're going to hasten, or they're going to expedite their monetary stimulus tapering, and at the same time, they may we see three possible rate hikes next year. And of course, this is something that is also weighing on investor sentiment.
Okay. Now, Javed, you mentioned the cautious optimism here. Can you say, I mean, we've already seen the surges happening all over the world. So, have investors in the Philippines already priced in that surge that's probably imminent already, or is there, where are the risks tilted? Because even when they did announce this whole Omicron thing, we didn't naman go below 7,000, even when it's already in our shores.
I believe investors are not yet fully pricing another surge in COVID-19 cases, and that's the reason why we're able to hold our current level. Currently, the market is trading with a support at 7,000 to 7,100, and a resistance at 7,300. So the 7,000 to 7,100 level is being held so far, and this is a sign that investors are still optimistic. This is a sign that investors are still hoping that despite the entry of the Omicron variant in the Philippines, our COVID-19 situation will still be it will still be the progress will still be sustained, that cases will continue to decline, and that we will see further improvement in our vaccination. So I believe that's what investors are pricing right now, and that's why the resurgence of cases, that is still considered as a major risk for us. If ever that happens, then we may see a further plunge in the local bourse moving forward.
But do we still have room to go up? Considering we're in, I don't know how many more days till the end of the year, and there might be some window dressing, still a Christmas rally, or ito na yon, tapos na yung Christmas rally.
Well, earlier we were also hoping for a Christmas rally, but unfortunately, the Omicron variant came into the scene. But if you're going to look at the market right now, in particular the index stocks, we still have a lot. We still have a lot of undervalued stocks. if you're going to look at their historical PE ratio average. So there's still a lot of undervalued stocks out there. It's a matter of how investors will it's a matter of appreciation with respect to their fundamentals. There's still a lot of index stocks out there that investors can pick. It just so happens that sentiment is a little bit clouded right now, given the Omicron variant. But if these undervalued stocks will be appreciated, then at least we may still see the market test that 7,300 level moving forward, at least before the year ends.
Okay, so 7-3, hopefully before the year ends. Let's talk about the IPO of the day, 80 centavos now. That's down 20% for Solar Philippines Nueva Ecija. What's going on here? Is this just Omicron
Hello.
jitters? Is this Yes? Can you hear me, Japhet?
I'm sorry. I'm
Yes?
sorry. I wasn't able to hear that. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, I was talking about the IPO of today, which is Solar Philippines, of course. It's now below 80 centavos. So that's
Mm.
down by 22% already. 20, is it 11 minutes into trade? Is this just Omicron jitters, market jitters, jitters from Medilines spilling over? Or is this fundamentally, what investors are believing to be the prospects of the company?
Well, with respect to SPNEC, if first let's talk about fundamentals. With respect to SPNEC, remember that this is a company that is still in its pre-operating stages, so it doesn't have a track record. We don't have that much fundamental basis. What we're really looking into right now is the prospects of the company. So if you are investing in SPNEC, then you are investing not purely on its prospects. And as the prospects of the company is it's planning to build the biggest solar power plant in the solar power plant. That's going to be 500 megawatts. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's the plan. That's the plan of the company so far. But other companies are already doing that too. You have ASEN still expanding into the renewable energy, continuously expanding into the renewable energy space. AP is also doing the same venture. So there's in terms of prospects, yes, you can say that SPNEC has bright prospects, but at the same time, there's also competition risk out there. So that's one of the things that we see right now, why SPNEC is trading this way. Added to that is the negative spillovers coming from from the preceding IPO, which is Mediline. And finally, as mentioned, there's overall cautious market sentiment, driven by the Omicron variant.
When should markets or investors be picking up the stock? At what price do you think it's a good deal to have compared to the 1 peso IPO price?
Hello,
Yes,
hello.
can you hear me, Japhet? Yes, at what price do you think it's good idea for investors to jump in this stock compared to the 1 peso IPO price?
Well, with respect to SPNEC, I can't provide a definite price yet as to when we can pick up. Perhaps we have to see first. We have to see first how the stock's going to trade in its first few days. Let's wait and see where it can establish a strong support. And once it is able to do so, then perhaps that will be a good time to buy the stock.
Does this threaten any other energy
Hello,
stocks like AC Energy or FGen? Do you find that they might be
hello,
moving because of this IPO? Does this threaten the
hello,
movements of
ma'am.
these? Yes. Can you hear me?
Hello,
Yes, Jack.
ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
No
think my
worries.
internet connection is having
Okay,
problems.
no problem. Anyway, I think maybe one last question on Medilines and how this performance relates to what you were expecting.
Well, with respect to Medilines, as we can see, it's still on a downtrend right now. It's still moving downwards. But I think at its current levels, it is already undervalued. For Medilines, I think this is already something a stock that is good to buy. We just need to wait for the stock to identify strong support levels. I mean, in yesterday's trading, we saw that it was able to hold its ground at 1.39. So let's see if moving forward the stock can still hold this level. If it is able to do so, then we may be able to buy that stock already. For Medlines, at least we're seeing it, at least at 200. I'm sorry, at 2.27 pesos per share. Now for Medlines, prospects are still good. Its top line and bottom line are still growing strongly. And add the fact that there's still a lot of bright prospects for the health sector of the country, especially with COVID-19
Okay.
raising public health awareness. So the moving forward, there's more investments with respect to the health sector is expected, and this is going to add prospects to Mediline. Add as well that Mediline's biggest customer so far is the government, and of course the government is still expected to improve the public health sector. So this is also expected to help Mediline's fundamentals. So moving forward, we're seeing bottom line, Medline is a stock that we see as undervalued already. It's good to buy. We just need to find strong support levels for it.
Okay, so good to jump in Medilines,
Mm.
which is down 5% to 1 peso and 33 centavos compared to the IPO price 10 days ago of 2 pesos and 30 centavos. Thank you for those insights, Japhet and Tantiangco of Philstocks.
You're very much welcome.
Here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. The World Bank is considering a proposed $200 million loan for Philippine fisheries by February. The 7 year project aims to improve fisheries management and enhance the value of fisheries production in coastal communities. The appraisal date was on December 14th, while the estimated board date was February 28th. The project will assess the impact of resource management reform and respond through livelihood support activities. And in other news, Typhoon Odette is now passing over the Sulu Sea, that's between the Cuyo and Cagayancillo Islands, the northern portion of Palawan, Guimaras, and the southern portions of Iloilo and Antique are under tropical cyclone wind signal number 3. Heavy torrential rains are still expected over western Visayas and Palawan today due to Typhoon Odette. The tropical cyclone is also expected to make landfall in the vicinity of Palawan this morning or this afternoon. Typhoon Odette is forecast to exit the Philippine area of responsibility tomorrow morning to early afternoon. And that's a first look into the business day. Today is Friday, December 17, 2021. Catch Business World Live for the market closes at 3:15 p.m. today. I'm Danie Laurel. Mask on, wash hands, stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.